The Ysdel Woman, a series of unexplained events that keep investigators on edge. A burnt body found in Norway in 1970 with coded notes on it. This case still keeps investigators on edge. They do not know who this mysterious woman was or why she was killed, but they do have some clues. In this video, we'll tell you everything about the woman found with a mystery note on her body and the latest update on the investigation. So stay tuned. January 29th, 1970, early in the morning, two skiers were going from Voss to the top of the mountain so they could get some good skiing in. But what they found left them shocked and traumatized. As they approached a wooded area, they noticed something lying in the snow. It was wrapped in a blanket and had the shape of a human body. When they got closer to investigate, they saw that the bundle was smoking, and when they touched it, they realized it was burning. They ran away as fast as they could and reported what they had seen to the police. When the police arrived at the scene, they found a half-burnt female body. She was naked except for a pair of nylon stockings and a leather belt. She also had two suitcases next to her, one brown and one black. They opened the suitcase and found a lot of women's clothing, including several hats and pairs of gloves, as well as men's clothing. There was also a small notebook, several letters, towels, and a camera. The camera was checked, and it turned out the last photo taken with it showed a man, a woman, and a child by a lake in Sweden. Unfortunately, the film had been developed. There was no way to find out who these people were or where the photo was taken. And the most disturbing thing was that the dead woman's face had been mutilated. She also had two pieces of paper stuck to her chest. They were wet and made it hard to read them. After drying them, the police managed to decipher the writing. One of the pieces of paper said help, while the other one said dead man walking. These phrases were written in English and seemed to suggest that the woman had been followed for some time before she was finally killed. As if all this wasn't disturbing enough, the next day, another dead body was found in the same area. It was a man's this time, and he also had a note on his chest. But, unlike the woman, his body was intact and showed no signs of torture. He also had a briefcase with him which contained a camera and a 3-day journal. The police learned that the man's name was Ragnar Vonen, and that he had been a major in the Norwegian Army, S-Elite, Special Forces Unit, the 611 Squadron. He had been missing since December 1969, along with his wife, Anne Lisa, who was a secretary. Now, they knew who the man was and how he died. But the police still didn't know anything about the woman. All they had to go on was the fact that she had been identified only as the Ysdel Woman because her body was found in the Ysdel. They didn't even know if that was a real name or just an alias. Her fingerprints couldn't be matched to anyone in the system, and she had no ID on her. All they knew is that she was between 30 and 40 years old and was approximately 5 feet tall. The police were able to determine how the woman died. She had been shot twice, once in the chest and once behind the ear. Whoever did it had done it at close range, and the bullets had been silenced. Whoever killed her had taken great care to ensure that her body would not be found. But why? What did the police find out about her? First, They decided to check if the clothes found near her body belonged to her, or if they were planted there. They managed to prove that the clothes were hers, and that she had been wearing the same pair of shoes when her body was found. The police then searched the area where the bodies were found and came across something strange. They found a hole dug into the ground as if someone had buried something there and then filled the hole back in. But nothing was found during their search. The police were curious about the hole, but they couldn't do anything about it. Without a body to compare it to, they didn't know whose hole it was. The police then received a phone call from someone who claimed to have seen the Ysdel Woman in Bergen. In August 1969, according to the caller, the woman was staying at a hotel in the city center, and she had been accompanied by a man. Investigators went to the hotel to see if they could find any record of the couple staying there, but they found nothing. The only clue they had now was the photograph taken with the woman's camera. They managed to find a similar picture of the same family in a local newspaper from June 1969. The picture had been taken in Sweden, and the people in it were identified as Astrid Olsen and her family. Astrid Olsen was a known member of the Communist Party in Norway, and had been married to John Olsen, a journalist for the communist newspaper Nationen. The police checked the newspaper archives and found out that John Olsen had been working on a story about secret NATO documents leaked by a high-ranking military officer named Ragnar Vonen. Was this the same Ragnar Vonen whose body was found next to the Ysdel Woman? If so, why did he leak the documents? And why was he killed along with Astrid? To answer these questions, the police went to Astrid's house to ask her about it. But when they knocked on the door, a man answered. He introduced himself as Astrid's brother, and told the police that Astrid had been on vacation with their parents when the picture was taken. PFOC. I also told them that she had returned home the day after the picture was published in the newspaper and had never been seen since. When the police asked to search the house, the man refused to let them in without a warrant. He then closed the door in their faces, and they heard the sound of a gunshot coming from inside. When the police finally entered the house, they found the man dead, with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. In his hand, he was holding a letter addressed to the police. It read, "I am very sorry for deceiving you. I am the person whom you are looking for." The police were stunned. Did they finally have their answer? They looked through the rest of the house and found several articles written by John Olsen, including the article he had been working on when he was killed. The police compared the handwriting on the articles with the handwriting on the notes found on the borders and confirmed it was the same. They also found a notebook containing codes, ciphers, and false identities used by John and Astrid. The police were convinced that they had solved the case, but there was still one question that remained unanswered. Why was the woman killed? They had identified her as Astrid Olsen, and they had a motive for why she was killed, but they needed evidence to prove it. The problem was that the only evidence they had was circumstantial. They had no direct evidence that she was a spy, or that she had been working with the Russians. This was partly because the case had been kept secret for so long, and partly because the police had not searched the area where the bodies were found thoroughly enough. Finally, in 2010, the case was reopened and new forensic tests were carried out on the bodies and the evidence found at the crime scene. The tests revealed that the bullet that killed the woman had been fired from a Russian weapon. This was a breakthrough in the case, but it did not answer all of the police questions. Who exactly was the woman? Why was she in Norway? And who killed her? Unfortunately, the answers to these questions may never be known. It seems likely that the Ysdel Woman was a Soviet spy who was working undercover in Norway. She probably met Ragnar Vonen while he was on a mission, and they fell in love. When Vonen was killed, she took his body and buried it. She then wrote, "Dead man walking" on her chest to warn the police that she was being followed. She was probably trying to escape to Sweden, but she was killed on the way. The police believe that she was shot by a professional hitman who was hired to kill both her and Vonen. But why? The answer to this question may never be known, but it doesn't matter anyway. Today, the case is still considered to be a cold case, and the police are still looking for answers. They hope that one day they will be able to solve the mystery of the Ysdel Woman. Now it's time for you to speak. What are your thoughts on the Ysdel case? Let us know in the comments below. Bye. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and share for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.